the gift of pluralism within our congregation. I grew up UU, and for me this meant time spent in church the first years of my life, then being raised UU in Honduras with my parents, and returning to the US and returning to church and congregation, and then going through young adulthood and exploring my faith and how Unitarian Universalism was a part of it. I remember being a teenager and starting to come up against the challenges of identity, of life purpose, of how to live out UU values, and being uncertain how I would cope. In church, I found a space where I could learn about how different people approach those questions that Sadie and Allison talked about earlier, those big questions. In hearing people's stories about what decisions were important in their lives and what experiences shaped them, it became clear that there were many ways to live out UU values and to cope with the challenges that come with each path. This taught me about the value of learning about other people, how to invite those conversations and treasure them, discovering mysteries of the human condition, and coming to see myself as perfectly human, reassuring me that I too would find my way. And this inspired me to want to support others in their journey, to find people to be along the journey with me, and nurturing a strong belief that others will find their way, that others are finding their way.
Like Sam and Sonrisa and Allison and Sadie, I also grew up a Unitarian Universalist. My home church, the church of my upbringing, had a lot of folks who had converted from other religions. And I loved then and still love now how our churches can be a landing pad, a launching pad, and a new spiritual home for religious seekers of all kinds. When I was maybe a teenager, my mother and I were leaving church, and I saw a bumper sticker on the back of a car that said, "My karma ran over your dogma." And I said to my mother, "Hey Mom, I know what karma is, but what's dogma?" And she looked at me and said, "Seriously?" And I said, "Yeah." And without answering my question, she, who identifies as a recovering Catholic, she said, "I have done my job," and walked on. Which we all understand now, but at the time I was just very confused. I wanted to know more. And I was frustrated as I grew older in this congregation with their reluctance to broach the subject of Christianity at all. We could talk about Buddha and Muhammad and Krishna and any of these other religions and, Mary Oliver and anybody, but we couldn't talk about Jesus. And I understand that religious trauma is real. And again, I am so, so grateful that Unitarian Universalism can be a place for folks to come and heal from other religions that may have, in whatever context people were raised, may have not shown the love that maybe those religions meant to. And that people are able to find that love here. I think there's lots of paths to that love. And I wanted, as a teenager, to know more about Christianity in addition to all these other faiths. And as an adult, I found that some UUs actually still identify as Christians. Why is this a revelation? We talked earlier about how we can put all kinds of different beliefs in our belief bags. But I think sometimes we are reluctant to unpack those belief bags in front of each other. The world right now is so full of intolerance, so I get it. But tolerance is just the bare minimum for humanity, right? Like, I don't like what you're doing, but I'll tolerate it. Like, that's not what we want to be here in this church. We want to go beyond tolerance. We want to go even beyond celebrating our differences. Because that's, for me, the difference between diversity and pluralism. Diversity is saying, like, yeah, we're all different. That's okay. And pluralism is saying, yeah, we're all different, and that's what makes life great. To really embrace our differences and to be a place of welcoming where we can unpack our messy, incomplete bags of beliefs in front of each other and say, look what I found. What have you found? Huh, that's different. Interesting. And have our differences not be threatening. As a queer person, some things about me are threatening to other people, and I don't understand why. But some people are threatening to me and my identity. And so it can be scary to be my full self in all of the places in my life. And I hope that in this place, folks can feel safe, or at least safer, to be our full selves. And because we would never ask you to do what we are not willing to do, Allison and Sadie shared some of their beliefs earlier, and I try to share some of the things that I believe every time I get up here in this podium. I have shared in this congregation and in others before about my belief in God. And I've had people approach me after services here and elsewhere to sort of confess to me that they also believe in God. And I don't know why it's embarrassing. Are we accidentally creating an atmosphere in this church or in other churches or in our denomination where some people don't feel safe sharing some basic part of their belief system, like a belief in God? I know that that's not who we want to be. We want to be a place that is open and welcoming and accepting and celebrates everybody's different beliefs. So let me be one of the people up here saying, yeah, I believe in God. It may not be the same God that you believe in, or the same God that you don't believe in. We can all have different definitions of a God, whether we believe in a God or not. But I don't have a better word for this powerful force that I have felt at work in my life. So I'm going to use the word God. And I would love to talk with you about it sometime and hear what you believe, even if it's completely different from mine. I think that we UUs do a disservice not only to each other, but also the world, in not being more forthcoming about what we believe. I know I'm not the only one who thinks like, gosh, this congregation is so great. I bet there's so many people out there that would find a home here if they only knew that we were here. UUs have this sort of allergy to talking about religion out in the world. And I know that it comes from this place of not wanting to push our beliefs on other people. And of course, we don't want to push our beliefs or proselytize or be overbearing in some way. But I think there's a big difference between those two things, sharing openly and honestly about what we believe and our messy, unfinished search for truth and meaning, and pushing beliefs on other people. So I'm asking you, challenging you, to be more open in the world and also with each other. You can try it out with me, just to get a taste. And share with each other what you believe. And if you don't know, that's okay. Bring your half-baked cookies to the potluck of the world. Because in Unitarian Universalism, we don't pretend to have the answers. No one's going to tell you you're wrong. So you can find out, you can explore, you can question, you can decide that you were wrong about yourself in the past and you're updating it now. And you may find that some people here believe something rather similar to what you believe and you just never knew. But alike or unalike, we can all find a home here. And I want this to be a safe place for us all to explore this messy, unanswerable big questions of life.